I rewatched the Mugen Train movie for like
Right.
the third time recently. It always hits.
With your friend, right?
Yeah. It was their first time seeing it. They just finished season 1, and I was like, "Let me know when you're done with season 1. I want to watch that movie again." And it set my heart ablaze. For
I
sure.
know. I've been listening to the soundtrack from that movie a lot when working out recently, like
Nice.
the Rengoku theme.
Oh, it's so good, so good. I'm excited. We got season 3 shortly, sort of.
Do
right?
we?
Maybe.
I don't know.
かっこいいアニメパワーアップドキドキスタート
Welcome to Bravery Punch, the shonen show where every story has its beginning. I'm Kunai Kenny.
And I'm Doki Doki Duffy.
Today we're talking about first episodes of anime.
えいえいえいおー
Are we talking any anime today?
We're talking some pretty general anime, no spoilers. We're talking a few different shows. We watched a lot of first episodes.
But mostly shonen today.
Shonen.
I know we got into our Kaguya tangent last time.
Oh, yeah.
But I think we're mostly gonna be doing shonen today.
Yeah. We are the shonen show. I thought I didn't know if that was maybe implied.
Oh, I
in
know.
my...
I mean, I like to think we're anime and anime adjacent at this point.
That's fair. That's fair.
But exciting for first-time listeners is I think we should be doing spoiler-free today for everything we talk about because it's mostly going to be everything that happens in episode 1 of whatever we're discussing.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
So welcome to new listeners if you are here with us. We just talk about anime.
And anime adjacent things. And why did we want to talk about anime beginnings?
Well, we talked about endings recently, and I don't know. It felt maybe we were being a bit sour that episode. I don't know, but I wanted to talk more about the start of shows and what kind of pulls us into a lot of these series. And so I think that's kind of what brought us here.
Yeah, and I like what you said. We're trying to bring some more positivity because we really do love anime, and we've got some things you might be expecting today if you've been listening to the show, and some things you might be surprised by. So definitely stick around. You don't know everything we're going to talk about today.
So what are the shows we watched the first episodes of? We did Naruto.
Well, you're talking about for some recap.
Oh yeah. I just wanted to get them out there because we might be referencing
Yeah,
them.
so we've of course seen a lot of anime first episodes in our days, our anime careers.
Yeah.
But recently, Kunai Kenny had the good idea to watch them specifically, and like think about them and discuss them on the show. So it was Naruto.
Yeah.
We went back and watched that one.
We watched Fist of the North Star. We went way back for that one.
I'd never seen that before.
I
don't
didn't
think
either.
you
I haven't
had
seen
either.
any of it before. We also watched Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh my god, we did. We watched the Yu-Gi-Oh! English dub.
And Black Clover.
Black
that was
Clover.
the one other one we watched.
So some things we knew, some things we didn't. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. So those will be some of the ones we'll be referencing mostly throughout the episode. We'll probably bring in some other series as we kind of discuss. But where do you want to start with anime beginnings?
I like to start general. I think it's fun to start general and think about just generally what gets us hooked on these shows. Because like we discussed in the endings episode, that shonen anime in particular is really, really long. And you need to know, like, kind of from the beginning that what you're signing up for is going to be worthwhile to you. Like, you don't have to be 100% sold. I think One Piece is something I love, of course, but I wasn't 100% sold when it started out. But I was interested enough to keep going on that journey.
Yeah.
So what catches us enough to make us interested in climbing aboard?
I think for me, the episodes I enjoyed the most were the ones that weren't too like what's the word I'm looking for? Exposition heavy. I prefer the ones that kind of were pretty much like one-off little battles, adventures that just kind of showcased what the power system is going to be like, what the characters are sort of like. It gave us more of a look into the world rather than the first episode being like, here's all this information about everything that you're going to be learning about. I preferred those kind of like one-off adventure episodes.
An English teacher might call that in media res. And I totally agree. I love when we're just thrown in. We need a little bit of exposition sometimes, but like we saw in the Naruto first step, not really. You got to know there's some magic stuff going on, and usually that's enough to
Yeah, I think the Naruto episode did a really great job of kind of showing rather than telling about the power system, which is interesting because later on in the series, there's a lot of explaining. But in this first episode, it was really well done, where you saw them doing the hand symbols, you saw chakra kind of build up around them, so you got like a vague idea just by looking at these characters. Like, okay, so there's some sort of energy, and in order to do the powers, you do a hand symbol in their ninjas.
It gave you just enough to get you interested.
Yeah, just enough where it didn't waste a lot of the episode explaining it. We actually got to like see it in action and in motion, which was really exciting.
One thing for me that really matters, I think, in the first episode is just the aesthetics of the show. And it kind of matters recently, like in my recent anime watching years, it matters more than I think it might have mattered in the past, where like if a show looks or sounds really good, it just draws me in immediately. And that was like Demon Slayer did that visually, Fire Force did that visually. And I mean, I saw glimpses of it in the Naruto first episode, because I don't just mean the animation has to be super HD, 4K, whatever, although that certainly helps, and I'm certainly interested in that. I think just like if the show conveys its style very clearly and very like emphatically from the beginning, I'm on board. That gets me going.
It was really interesting just to kind of see shonen through the decades kind of as well, with all the different episodes that we watched, like seeing Naruto again, and it was just like, wow, this feels so dated now, which is weird because that's really what got both of us into anime, and to just kind of see it now, it looked so old.
Yeah, it looked like kind of crunchy.
Yeah, crunchy is a good word.
But like that aside, like I can still recognize that it had like a visual style was going for.
Oh
It was
yeah,
very clearly,
I didn't mean that in a bad
yeah,
way.
no, I know. But like it's very clear, like we're in the woods. We've got these like headbands. It has this whole like clothing style. It has a visual presentation with like the architecture and stuff that just I don't know. I feel like I've seen so much anime that just takes place in Japan that when it even slightly tries to be something beyond modern day Japan, I'm immediately interested. Like when Fire Force has the kind of steampunk buildings, I'm just like, whoa, there's something going on here, and I want to see more.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, like the aesthetics, the visual, and the music, if it sounds really good from the get-go, that hooks me in right away for sure. But it's not necessary.
Yeah. I think, you obviously kind of need some, I think a good plot hook at the end of the episode is an obvious thing that is needed. That again, I think Naruto kind of sets up well, as you're ready for, this is going to be a journey about Naruto becoming Hokage. It makes that very clear.
Yeah. Haikyuu, I feel like, has a really good plot hook in the first episode. I remember when we watched the first episode of that a while ago. I feel like I was like, all right, we got some boys.
What was it?
Well, I don't remember exactly what happens, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, but I'm pretty sure they get like rejected from trying out until they have to like work together. Hinata and Kageyama.
Okay,
It's immediately like, oh, this is a show about people working together.
Yeah.
And I was immediately hooked on that.
Yeah. I think Haikyuu is a great example of a first episode, because we started that with the idea of like, oh, haha, like volleyball anime, how good's that going to be? And at the end of the first episode, we both like looked at each other and were like, I'll do another.
I'm in. Watch Haikyuu if you haven't. Go watch that show.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And listen to our episode about it.
Yeah, our most popular episode.
Our most popular episode. You got to get those numbers up.
Oh yeah. So we got plot hook. And I guess the last thing for shonen anime in particular is I love to have the dream declared in the first episode.
Yeah.
I think Naruto drops I want to be Hokage in the first ep.
Multiple times, I believe.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, even in like Attack on Titan, I think he has his dream of I want to kill all the Titans instead in the first step. It's I like that moment of, okay, this is where we're going, kind of.
Yeah. Fist of the North Star, obviously from like a totally different era of shonen where I think things were a lot different. Was there any sort of like dream or story that was like set up in the beginning, or is it really just like this guy just kind of kicks people's teeth in and it's awesome?
Yeah, I don't think there was necessarily a dream. He seemed like maybe it was kind of said through his actions where he wanted to like protect the people.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I would imagine, I haven't watched it anymore, obviously, but I would imagine he kind of goes around and protects people.
Yeah.
Probably.
I don't know. I kind of want to watch, just hop around in some episodes. It was just really fun and like such a different era of shonen, and it's just kind of interesting to see something that inspired so much of what shonen is now.
Well, should we get deeper into that one in particular and kind of go through what we've talked about?
I mean, unfortunately I don't know if I have a ton more to say on Fist of the North Star.
I think it's interesting that there was no dream declared, and it could tell from the get go. I think that it was going to be episodic, which is not a thing we see in modern shonen, right?
Yeah, I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh kind of had that feeling.
Kind of, yeah.
But Yu-Gi-Oh does have, I mean, as you just said, like Yu-Gi-Oh does have arcs and things like that in it. But for the first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh was just a totally bizarre outlier, I think.
Well, speaking of bizarre, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I think Yu-Gi-Oh kind of has that Monster of the Week feel a little bit, but it does have like the first arc is the tournament on the island or whatever.
Yeah.
So it does have the arc, but I think Fist of the North Star is very different in that no dream, kind of no overarching plot that we could tell from the first episode.
Yeah.
If we're wrong, I'd love to hear about it.
Well, we did get some like flashes of like a woman and some man. I'm assuming his Griffith. So I'm sure his goal is to defeat that man because he probably killed that woman. That's
probably
my hot take.
Yeah. And the biggest thing from the first episode of the North Star that we got is the Omae wa mo shinderu. That was in the very first episode.
Yeah, so awesome.
So if you want a piece of that anime history, you can go watch that.
It's fantastic. We haven't even really mentioned it because I think it was honestly the weakest of the first episodes, but the Black Clover one didn't quite hook me. Maybe it was just because we were watching a lot of first episodes. I don't know, but like it wasn't one where I was like, I really felt like I want to keep going with it. Maybe it could be a story that would read better just because like the voice acting of the main character was just grating.
Yeah, I know it's a meme. I think like Giga had started this meme like in 2015 or whenever the show first came out. The voice acting was definitely grating. I'll give credit to where credit's due. I think it was a very crisp animation.
Oh, it looked great.
I think like the lighting and illumination effects look really nice. And that would be enough to keep me going if the other factors didn't happen, where the sound was kind of grating, honestly.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I was left confused by was like the dynamic between the main characters and then what the plot was going to be, right?
I mean, to me, the issue I had with the plot that it was setting up was, especially just coming fresh off of like the Naruto first episode, it really felt like the same kind of idea, where it was like the Wizard King rather than Hokage, kind of the idea of like an orphan becoming the ultimate, the sort of most powerful person, that same sort of dream. So I think it's, again, just about that quest of achieving that. And so much of it just felt like it was Naruto adjacent, sort of, where it obviously has its own sort of skin, it's more fantasy and things like that, but the main character just kind of had some Naruto feels for me that didn't hook me in the same way that the Naruto first episode did. And as I mentioned earlier, kind of that difference of showing versus telling, this felt like a show with so much exposition, but I didn't understand like any of it.
Yeah, totally.
Like so many people were describing and talking about so many things. They're like the books that the kids get, the grimoires, and it was just a lot that I was like, okay, so there's all these things, but I'm not really hooked by any of them. Like Naruto just had a very concise, like, ninja, these are kind of some powers. See Naruto do a crazy shadow clone jutsu, beat up a dude. Like, that's cool. I don't need all of this other information about chakra and how chakra works and da-da-da-da-da.
And something that Naruto did really well is that we could tell Naruto wanted to be Hokage from the beginning, not for the power or fame or whatever, but because he wanted to be accepted. I think he pretty much like says that, or like, or it's very clear that he wants to be Hokage for the acceptance of the village. It's not about being the leader. It's about everybody respecting and liking him so much and welcoming him that he becomes the leader. And I don't know if he said it literally, but the shots of the swing set happen so much that it's clear, like, okay, this is where the story's going. And that was enough. That was really interesting.
Yeah.
When you look at Black Clover, it's, I want to be the Wizard King. I don't know what the Wizard King is. I don't know why he wants to be the Wizard King. He ostensibly comes from a family. Like, he is literally an orphan, but he grew up with a adopted brother and with the whole church around him. And yeah, whatever. We just had a whole episode on found family you can listen to. It's a good one. But he has a very different upbringing where he's not necessarily looking for that, like, approval. Thank you. The brother is just mean to him. And then on top of all of that, we have Zenitsu as our main character. Like, the very first thing we see with him is him, like, berating a woman for not wanting to marry him.
Yeah.
And that's a rough start. That's like, these things are all kind of together. Like, separately, we could kind of overlook them, but when they compound, it's hard to overlook them.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that, like, Naruto is so clearly wanting to be Hokage for approval to fit in, because he is just truly an outcast. We see in the whole show, like the swing shot, which in this first episode I loved them, and they were very like Lynchian, because they just like had they're just like hanging on the like this shot for a while, like for like a long time, like almost like the elevator scene in Evangelion. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of into this right now. But yeah, Naruto is just truly an outcast. You know, he wants to fit in, but maybe we're coming from an angle of seeing more of Naruto. But
yeah,
Black Clover,
we do know a lot more Naruto, to be fair.
But with Black Clover, I just didn't really understand the character's motives. It was more just kind of, it seems kind of like power hungry.
It does.
Battle shonen, which I'm sure it has some really beautiful fight scenes. I would not knock that for it, because the animation was crisp. The power system seems to look pretty and seems like it would be fun to watch.
Yeah,
but
tell us which ones to watch. We'll talk about them.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we'll go every episode along the way.
And then the Yu-Gi-Oh first episode.
Yu-Gi-Oh first dub. This was nostalgic for me because I watched Yu-Gi-Oh English dub growing up. I forget. Had you seen it before?
I've only seen like random episodes. I've never seen it in a coherent order where I could tell you really like anything about the characters or the story.
Yeah, so we've jumped around the eras here, but the idea with these episodes that we picked out was that Fist of the North Star was like the oldest back we could trace. And then Yu-Gi-Oh really comes next, and then Naruto, and then Black Clover.
Yeah.
I think Yu-Gi-Oh came out. At least I watched Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid, and Naruto felt more like middle school era.
Yeah, I think Naruto's early 2000s. I want to say Yu-Gi-Oh maybe started in like 99. I don't know.
But that's where we're slotting it in here, sort of in that second slot. And so the obvious thing that's fun about the first entire season of Yu-Gi-Oh is there's no rules to the card game.
You just draw and play.
So that's the thing we noticed is, like, if I'm watching this as a kid, I don't know, maybe it was like a middle schooler. I'm not interested in the card game very much. The card game doesn't seem very fun, but the show is so over the top that I'm into it.
Yeah. What's so weird about this first episode, it must be something with it being airing in America, because they have a different theme song for it. Like at this time, this was in an era where anime wasn't really like widely accepted, or Japan for some reason thought that like it needed to be rebranded, or I don't know. America thought it needed to just be like rebranded and have like rap theme songs and stuff like that. Where the first episode really has no exposition, no anything. Like everyone already kind of knows each other. There's already like Yu-Gi-Oh already has what is it called?
The Millennium Puzzle.
The Millennium Puzzle, and he just turns into Yu-Gi-Oh.
That's the funniest part.
Like, I kind of expected the first episode to be like he would maybe know the card game, get in a battle, find the thing, and then be like, "Whoa, what is this power I'm changing into?"
No, he fully transforms into Yu-Gi-Oh with no explanation, and that's too much, I think, for me. I need something, because if I am watching this, no matter the age, if I'm watching this, it looks like Yugi Moto just gets taller with a deeper voice, and the duel resumes.
Yeah,
and like,
no one says anything.
No one says anything, and that is not a good look for the first episode.
This one just clearly felt so much more like a kid's show, I think, than all of the other shonen series. I don't know, something about it. Maybe it was the voice, kind of like that 4Kids style voice acting, and the aesthetic of it, and that first episode just not really explaining anything, just kind of throwing you in. It didn't feel like it wanted to have any sort of like themes or messages to say. It's just sort of about kids playing a card game to sell the card game to kids.
That's fair. It's definitely over the top.
Yeah, it didn't have that. I don't know. It like the first episode of Naruto like is sort of, I don't know, dark. You know, it's mature. I guess.
It takes itself seriously.
It's very serious. Same with Fist of the North Star too. It's a very serious kind of episode, and even Black Clover. But Yu-Gi-Oh just really didn't feel serious in any degree.
That's true. Ooh, I turned up myself too loudly. Yeah, that's true. I think I do. The first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh did make me want to watch more, but it did kind of make me want to watch more in the
nostalgia.
So bad it's good / nostalgia way. Where like I do think unironically, I'm down for the characters knowing each other. I'm down for like the friendship that's going on, and I'm very down for Seto Kaiba just being a jerk and just being an evil rich boy. I'm down for that. But you're right, the lack of like understanding what's going on is a bit much, and it's not like I want to watch this because it's good. It's I want to watch this because it's silly and I want to laugh at it.
It's ridiculous.
Laugh with it, but also laugh at it.
Yeah. I think those are all the episodes we watched recently. But do you maybe want to take a short break? And when we come back, we can kind of talk about the show that I think really inspired this episode, because you're writing the article on it, but Fire Force.
Oh, yeah. We can talk about Fire Force and just other strong beginnings.
Other strong beginnings. But definitely let's dive into Fire Force here after this short break.
もしもしもしもしもしもし頑張ってますね
If you're enjoying Bravery Punch, please give us a rating wherever you're listening to podcasts. You can find us on Twitter at Bravery Punch. We've got an Instagram. And you can also find us at braverypunch.wordpress.com, where we've got a blog we've been posting to pretty frequently, and you can contact us there as well. Welcome back to Bravery Punch. We are staying mostly spoiler-free because everything we'll be talking about is in the first episode or two here, except for Fire Force, because Fire Force, I want to talk about the first like 5 episodes or so.
Yeah.
So technically spoiler territory, I guess, but really it's like a why you should watch the first 5 episodes.
And you might be hearing some cat meows in the background, and that is because my cat Cooper is a hungry boy right now, but it's not dinner time yet.
And if you want to help feed our hungry boy here, make sure to follow us on Patreon. I forgot to mention the Patreon in the break. We are on patreon.com/braverypunch. Thank you to everybody already supporting us. Once we get some of those Super Saiyan tier people, we will say your names here on the episode.
My cat will starve without Patreon subscribers. Please help him
feed this boy and these boys that you're listening to right now on Patreon.
We all eat cat food.
We're really the Frank and Charlie here of always
of anime.
Actually, before I know we want to talk about Bravery Punch, but I mean, obviously, but I know we want to talk about Fire Force. But before we do, I want to actually. Can we talk about Demon Slayer a little?
Yeah.
Because I strictly the first episode of Demon Slayer, I've seen it twice, and I remember being so hooked by it. And I think if you are here and you've seen Demon Slayer or not, I think you should go back and just rewatch that first episode, because I think it's really, really compelling.
I think it's a super emotionally charged first episode. I think a lot of the other ones had a little bit of that, but Demon Slayer, like, really, really. Something about it has a lot of emotional energy about it.
I think a lot of that has to do with like the quote camera work. I don't know what we'd call it in anime, but as soon as you get to his family being like attacked by the demon, spoiler for the first episode, like I remember it's like kind of shaky when he's in the woods and everything, and like his fight with Giyu, air quotes fight, just feels so tense because of like the angles that are happening, and you really feel like you're Tanjiro. But actually, like I think Ufotable does a lot in that second half of the episode that really adds tension.
Yeah, they do a lot of like motion with the camera work, and like one take of like zooming in and not doing like the sort of series of lines as a character is moving. It is a very dynamic background, and the trees don't really move, the characters move. It's really cool.
And a funny contrast to Naruto and Black Clover that we saw In those first episodes, they kind of culminate the climax being the character using powers. In those two specifically, one of the things that made us think it was so similar is that the characters can't use powers at all, and then in the final confrontation they do. Naruto uses the Shadow Clone Jutsu, bing. Black Clover Boy
Turns into the demon.
turns into a demon thing, and both of them don't think they can use powers, and they do. Tanjiro also has no powers. Giyu tells him, like, you are weak, you got no powers, but he doesn't use powers. He just uses his own kind of cunning. He just throws his like little axe up and charges at him. And I think it's really clever. It was really compelling to me that I don't know if we even see powers in the first episode other than
We
Nezuko
do
being
know
a demon.
Giyu does a thing. I
Oh,
think,
Giyu does a
doesn't
cool
he?
thing. Okay, well, whatever.
I
That's
think
cool.
he does a thing.
But we don't see the main character do the thing.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool that the main character starts out really weak and is only able to surprise this very formidable foe in Giyu with his like craftiness. So I think that's cool.
Do you have any other Demon Slayer first episode bits? Because I just thought of another first episode I want to
All right.
talk
I mean, I love the Demon Slayer first episode. I could talk about it for a while, but hit me.
JoJo's.
But which
first
one?
episode.
JoJo's has so many parts.
I mean the very, very first episode.
Okay, I'm interested in this because I remember not being super enthralled with the very first episode.
Dio the Invader.
Remind me. I remember like kind of being skeptical
It's just the Jonathan and Dio like growing up together episode, and you see Dio grow up and stuff, and I just think it's an incredible first episode, especially the rewatch value on it. I just think it is so high after like seeing so many of the parts, seeing like the origin of Dio, and really understanding why this character is as he is. There's a lot of shows where I feel like you don't get to see the villain like from the very start like that and see why their motives are the way that they are. And I think JoJo's does like a fantastic job doing that. You get the style, it has the memes, it has
Oh, does it have that the
It was
meme in
me,
it?
Dio.
That's in the very first one.
Yeah.
Go watch that then.
yeah, it's such an incredible first episode.
Well, I actually had a question about that. I know we've got some near and dear friends of the show who listen and actually haven't seen JoJo's. So do you think this first episode does a good job setting up like kind of the ride that JoJo's is?
I think it does, yeah, because it's a pretty. I think it's it's all weird all throughout, and it has like the unfortunate brutality towards dogs that you get.
That's in the first one,
yeah, with that you get throughout the series of JoJo's. But I think it really just does set up the bizarreness of it. And we were talking about shows that take themselves very seriously in their first episode, and I think JoJo's can be serious, but it also it's bizarre, it's fun, and it sets that tone where a lot of weird stuff is just going to happen, and you kind of have to accept it, and there's really no rhyme or reason, just kind of for the hype, for the fun, and for the I don't know, for the memes.
Do we get powers in the first one? We don't get Hamon, right?
I don't.
But do we get the vampire?
We get vampire. We get vampire Dio.
I don't remember.
I can't remember. We didn't watch this one in the batch of episodes.
Yeah. Is this a raw first step? No powers at all?
No, I think we get some Hammond.
I don't remember.
I really can't remember.
But just like with JoJo having so many good arc endings, it conversely has a bunch of good beginnings. I wanted to mention, I totally forgot. I think the start to part 3 and part 6 in particular really stand out. Openings.
Yeah, prison openings.
They are both prison openings. That's true. I guess, yeah, it's no coincidence that I picked those two. For the people, I know there are people out there who say, oh, just start with JoJo's part 3.
No.
Don't do that. I think it is a really good opening, but there's so much you'll miss if you do that.
Yeah, I just like the first two parts really kind of set up the weight of the journey that they're going on because of what Jonathan went through, what Joseph went through, and now what Jotaro has to go to. You don't get that lineage if you just go right to part 3. Like there's a reason there's part they're numbered.
Yeah, and they make the openings to each part. I don't mean the opening theme. I mean like
also those that you don't want to miss.
That's true, of course. But I mean like the beginning part of each part is made stronger by the previous part as well.
100%.
And a fond sort of anime memory I have that's a more recent memory is watching the beginning of part 6 with you and your friend whose name I don't remember. Dumb. I like the beginning to part 6 was so fun.
Yeah.
I don't remember the specifics of it, but watching it with you two was super fun, and it was made all the better by all the other JoJo that I knew.
Yeah, each part I like there's so much excitement starting each part, like with the anticipation of finding out what the next JoJo is going to be, like what their stand is going to be. As you go through each part, you're like, I cannot wait to see like what this is, like what's in store for us, which I think is a much different shonen. Obviously, I guess technically maybe not a shonen anymore,
Honorary though.
Honorary shonen, but it's so different because each part has a beginning, but it's still kind of connected somehow. So it's an interesting first episode kind of topic.
So whether you like shonen anime beginnings, endings, middles, whatever, JoJo's has a lot for you. Go check it out.
It's got it. It's the best.
Are you not proud of me? Are you not proud that I try to bring it up now?
I am. I'm so proud of you.
Our first season, I hadn't even seen it.
Yeah, and
Or
now
I was watching it part by part.
now he's look at where he is, folks.
I am anime only. I'll stay that way for now, but I want you to be proud. But yeah, okay. The anime that inspired this particularly was Fire Force.
Yeah, you're even like working on a little article for this.
Yeah, it should be live when this episode goes live, maybe a
Okay.
little before or after.
What about Fire Force made you want to write that article?
I've seen the first couple episodes of Fire Force twice now, and both times I have been wowed by them. Like actually just like anime is so good. Like I know anime has a lot of weird stuff, and even this anime later on, but those first couple episodes I'm just like, wow, anime can really be beautiful. Because from the animation
Thank you, David. Shout out to David
and his productions. But just like from literally like the animation to the just like the way, like if you've seen My Hero Academia and you got hyped about Todoroki and his fire, spoilers, I guess, for that show, and that looked really beautiful. Imagine that, but all the time. That's what we're talking about with like Avatar: The Last Airbender at the end, the Agni Kai. We're just at that level of animation all the time with the show. We're just
Yeah.
popping off fire left and right. It's beautiful on a
the
technical,
sound design.
the sound design.
Like whenever they ignite that, like the sounds.
You
Awesome.
can do it really well.
Thank you.
I
Thank
have
you.
to sample that.
They I did the sound effects.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I was on that track.
Amazing. Great work. You get just like the craftsmanship that goes into the aesthetics alone really floored me. Really, really floored me. But then also what I do talk about in the article is it did kind of come at a special time for me. This is where we'll get a little personal on the show, where the first season of Fire Force started airing when I had just graduated college, when we had just graduated college, and I was starting my first job. And to see a shonen that wasn't about literally kids in school was so exciting to me, because the first episode, he's like starting his job. And
Yeah.
I was starting my job.
Yeah.
I had literally moved to New York City to start my job, and I just like immediately connected with Shinra. I was like, wow, he's just like me.
I think it's such a great first episode too, just because sometimes like school arcs can be a little not draining, but we've just seen so many of them. Like Naruto, for example, like we see Naruto go through school to get to where he is, but Fire Force isn't so much that show, where it's really cool to just kind of get the character already comfortable with his powers, still room to grow with them, but at a point where it's not like we have to see him learn them from the ground up.
Yeah, and I get it. Like school is, I don't want to say it's a crutch, but like schools in fiction in general, not just anime. Like there's a reason Harry Potter takes place in school. There's a reason Riverdale mostly takes place in school.
Riverdale, maybe a shonen? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh my God.
We can have an episode on that.
Absolutely. Euphoria too takes place
Yeah.
in whatever. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Fiction takes place in school so often because it just easily encourages interaction between characters and easily has so many different dynamics and conflicts you can make happen. So I get the appeal for authors and writers to use school, but when Fire Force didn't, I was like, wow, we're brave here. We are going. So that excited me so much. And then in general, just like if we're looking at past the first episode and into like the next couple, the emotionality, I don't know if that's a word, the emotions of the show floored me. They floored, like, the fact, I think it's like episode 2 or 3, we have this quiet moment of like, because let me back up. Something have we done a Demon Slayer episode?
Yes, we have.
We did?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did when the movie came out. Something we love about Demon Slayer is the empathy that Tanjiro has to, or chooses to show his demons, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if you want to talk more about that. I'm going on a spiel here. I'm trying to let you in.
No. Keep going. I want you to go off, Ken. Go off.
Something we love about Demon Slayer is that Tanjiro, in a world full of literal demons, chooses to show sympathy. He's very empathetic. Yeah, empathy. That's the word. He's like, he gets it. He's like, I see you were once a person. You've done a lot of bad things. I mean, he's not like in it to kill them. He mercifully kills them. This show, Fire Force, has that literally baked into the DNA of the show, where we know that all the people are like, or all the monsters, the like infernals, the Homurabi, were once people, but they didn't choose to become these like evil things. It's this horrible act of spontaneous like suffering for them. And they are in pain and they don't want to be hurting people, but they be hurting people. And just like, that's so clever. That's so freaking clever to like make the characters have to be empathetic. And then of course they add in the whole layer of the religion that I won't even talk about yet, but it's so cool. Anyway, on a strictly character standpoint, on like episode 2 or 3, we have, first of all, this beautiful moment where our boys, Shinra and Arthur, are like ready to go to combat. They whip out their weapons. And my boy, my king, whatever his name is, Obi Daitaicho, is just like, hold up. Like, you are not being fighters here. Like, you are here for the people. And I don't know the last time I don't know. I just thought that was really clever. I might be overhyping that moment, but when he tells them to put the weapons away, I was moved. I just thought that was really, really touching. And then it leads into the even better moment that I was floored by was we've had the first episode that was bombastic with the fire animation. We've seen the opening. They like fight this giant fire monster. And instead of all that, we get this quiet moment of this father sitting at a kitchen table as an infernal, and he is just doing everything he can to sit there and not burn the whole place up. He's literally just sitting there. And I'm getting emotional just saying this right now, because that is perfectly showing, not telling. They are not like, oh my God, this infernal man is like, they just like show him sitting there. They say it's painful for him. And then I think Arthur just like quietly has to like put him out of his misery. And more stuff does happen after that. I'm pretty sure it's not so simple, but like that is a beautiful moment that I don't know if I've seen in shonen anime. Like we come to these stories, and then I'll get you in the conversation. We come to them because of the bravery punches, of the loud, bombastic, yelling your feelings, getting all hyped about them. And we love those moments. But this show from the get-go has this quiet moment of so many emotions going on, the characters dealing with it. And I was just really, really impressed with that.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful show, and I think it builds a lot of great mystery in those first couple episodes too.
I didn't even talk about the mystery.
There's just so many, and in a way that I feel like is all well introduced. There's just kind of a lot of different factions and moving pieces within the story that all kind of center around one major event, but have all these different threads that I think are all so intriguing as you learn them, like Shinra's quest for his family, this mysterious cult that's working underground, Joker kind of doing his own thing as well, and even the Fire Force in general, learning about all the different teams and their members, their powers. There is just so much to this world.
And the religion.
There that I just think is really interesting, and I wanted to keep watching so many more episodes. Like, it's a shonen that I really binged through pretty quickly when I started it, just because I was so hooked at the end of each episode. As more things were revealed, more questions were raised. It just really kept pulling me along throughout the whole entire series.
We have a whole Fire Force episode, so I know we've said a lot about it already.
Do we? Do we have a Fire Force episode?
I thought we did.
No, we don't, because we've been waiting for you to finish it.
We've talked about it on the show before, haven't we?
I don't think we've talked about much Fire Force on
Oh
the show
my
before.
gosh.
Maybe we've briefly mentioned it, but we have listener. We have no Fire Force episode.
We've talked a lot about it.
Don't listen to his lies.
We've talked a lot about it, just us, off the mic, I guess. Well, okay, then I'm happy to keep talking about it because I cannot oversell this opening, this beginning stretch, the opening like arc, I guess you want to call it. I don't know.
Yeah.
The mysteries are so good. And then, so when we say mysteries, there's kind of two kinds of mysteries. One is what you're getting at is like the overt, here's the plot mysteries. But Fire Force also does the other fun kind of not so important mystery, but it's just like the world building. Like it's not literally a mystery, but you're like, whoa, why are there nuns in this firefighting team? That's cool. And you get to uncover that as the story goes. Or like, why is every Fire Force like department so different? And that's both just like the world building, but also like the plot. And I just think that's really impressive. I don't know. I think it was a good, really strong opening episodes to this show.
And touching back to the animation again, David Productions, who does JoJo's, like these are almost two different, completely different animation styles, where this show almost feels like Shaft sometimes. Some of the shots we get, the angles, like the sort of shaded city in the background, like very industrial, like warehouse with like the characters kind of standing in front of like a black building with like stained glass window. Like the cinematography is just like fantastic with like the imposing religious symbols and the way that the cities are built. Like it is just a marvel to look at every episode.
Absolutely. Like I haven't heard Shaft in a long time, but definitely shades of 2010s Shaft.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What happened to Shaft? Where are they
They're probably
now?
still out there. I mean, Monica is getting a new movie
That is true.
that is going to melt my brain probably.
Yeah.
So they're out here.
They're out here, but
And we'll talk about them one day.
they could do so much more. They could do so much
Maybe
more.
they do. Maybe they do.
Maybe they do. Maybe
the
we're
Monogatari series is still going, dude.
probably
I don't
is.
know.
Probably is.
But if we have not sold you on just watching the first episode minimally of Fire Force, I don't know what's gonna get you to do it, because I consider myself a connoisseur of anime and animation, and it is like no other, these first couple episodes. Now, does it maintain that quality? That's up for debate. I don't fully know. I've only seen season 1, mind you. But I can tell you for a fact that Doki Doki Duffy fully endorses those first couple episods and thinks you should watch them.
And I mean, I endorse the whole series. I love it. It's
Kunai
great.
Kenny endorses the full. I mean, you heard it here, folks. It's like that Nintendo seal of approval or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
we need a Bravery Punch.
a BP.
A BP.
Like a fist sticker.
Yeah, we'll get it. Check out our merch store.
Yeah,
You'll see it
merch
there.
coming soon. That'd be good.
One day.
But basically, I think in this whole conversation, there's very few shonen beginnings that are bad.
Yeah.
Like shonen beginnings tend to be really strong, it sounds like.
And I think too, when starting a shonen, almost 9 times out of 10, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna at least watch the first 4 or 5 episodes of this show to really get a flavor for it. Like, you're not gonna get everything from the first episode. Shonen kind of can take not a while to build, but like sometimes to really understand what you're going to get into with the show, you need those first set of episodes to pull you in. And of course, you're expecting to watch hundreds and hundreds of episodes.
You are. And even sometimes, even if you watch the first couple, sometimes you'll get a huge change in the middle or whatever. Like first episodes of Dragon Ball are going to be wildly different from Dragon Ball Z later on.
And
so I don't know.
Before we wrap up, I think we should give an example of a beginning that just popped into my head out of nowhere that I think was awesome, but then the next couple episodes just really were a letdown. Is do you remember Seraph of the End?
Oh my gosh.
Vampire Attack on Titan, kind of.
But also with school.
The first episode I remember was there was no school. It was just like the kids escaping and like all of them die. And it was just a really intense first episode. It was really cool. And then like the next episode starts and it's like, I'm in Vampire Hunter High School. And I was like, wait, this isn't the show I thought this was going to be.
I forgot about that. I think we watched like just 2 episodes of that.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think I watched episode 3 because like episode 1, I was like, wow, that was one of the best first episodes I've seen in a show in a long time. But then episode 2, I was like, what is happening now?
So there's definitely just like first episode's almost always gonna hook you. Almost always. We were harsh on Black Clover, but like it was pretty. Whatever. I'd watch more. First arcs are where you really get a taste of what the show is gonna be. And usually, or I don't know, I guess it's up for you. Usually by that point, you'll know if you want to keep going or not.
Yeah. Any closing remarks on openings of anime?
Closings on openings. It sounds like overall they're good. I'm glad that like I feel like most first episodes are good. What about you?
Nothing I can think of. I mean, it's pretty. We got some exciting first episodes on the way. We got a first episode of Chainsaw Man to look forward to. So soon.
Excited! I know nothing about it.
Yeah, that's going to be really exciting. Mob Psycho season 3, episode 1 is going to be soon.
But yeah, first episode of the seasons count.
First episode of a season. Are there any other big shonen that are going to be starting soon that we'll be able to experience together?
We haven't done it, but we can watch the first episode of the Ruby anime.
Oh yeah, that's
not literally shonen.
I think it's like an
anime,
hour long, right? Isn't it?
Largely inspired. I have no idea.
Yeah,
but that'd be fun to watch and look at.
Maybe chat about soon. Thanks to everybody who listened to Bravery Punch today. I'm Kunai Kenny.
I'm Doki Doki Duffy.
And stay brave.
かっこいいアニメパワーアップドキドキスタート
Hey everybody, Doki Doki Duffy here. Just want to give a big thank you if you made it this far in the podcast. Really appreciate you listening. Just a reminder that we are on patreon.com/braverypunch, and I hope you tune into our next episode. It'll be even better.
Hey